Hi everyone, let's talk books. And today I have a gigantic book haul because I haven't been filming for the last 3 months. And then in September and most of October, I got laryngitis where I really couldn't talk. I'm a professor, so that was a huge problem that I had to deal with. And one of the ways I dealt with it was by buying books. Plus, October was my birthday month, so I both allowed myself to have a budget to buy books and was gifted books. So this is an accumulation of all of that. I'm going to try to get it all in one video. I'm going to go ahead and get started with the romance novels that I bought. I buy most of my romance novels at the Rick Bodice, which is an all-romance bookstore in Culver City here in California. And it's far enough away that it's not an easy drive for me because of LA traffic. But it's close enough that I can sometimes make a detour there on my way back from work. Sometimes, not all the time. But either way, I made a couple of stops. No, I made one stop and then I placed an online order. So this is the accumulation of that. So the first book that I bought was Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. I have not read any Christina Lauren books, and they had it. We're offering it signed by the author, and everybody was talking about this book. See, it's signed. For a little while, and so I thought I wanted to read my first Christina Lauren and see what all the hype was about. So got that one. I also purchased the Kiss Quotient by Helen, Hoang, and again, one of those books that a lot of people were talking about as having really good, I think it was Asperger's rep, and a really good romance story. So I'm really interested to read this, and literally everyone I've heard who has read this one has loved it. So I am looking forward to that one. I also picked up Tessa Dare's A Lady by Midnight. I really like Tessa Dare's writing, and I haven't read a ton of her books, I've realized. So I thought I would give this one a try. And this one it's also signed by the author. Let me show you. There's Tessa Dare's signature. While I was in store, I also picked up Priscilla Oliveras' Her Perfect Affair. This is the sequel to Her Perfect Partner, and Priscilla Oliveras writes really nice stories. This has Puerto Rican rep, I believe. Yeah, its own voices, and I really liked the family in the first book, and this one was my favorite sister, so I had to pick it up. I also picked up Rafe by Rebecca Witherspoon. This is my first one of her books that I'm trying. This is about a football player. Yeah, I think this is like a sports series, but yeah, like that's all I need to know. I don't need to know more about this romance novel. And then I picked up Trade Me by Courtney Milan. So Courtney Milan is somebody I've been following on Twitter for a while. I have one of her books on Kindle that I believe I read years and years ago. So I wanted to pick up more of her books. And so I looked to see what they had, and this one looked interesting. It looks like it is about, what is it about? It's a billionaire story. See, Tina Chen just wants a degree and a job. So her parents never have to worry about making rent again. She has no time for Blake Reynolds, the sexy billionaire who stands to inherit Cyclone Systems. But when he makes an offhand comment about what it means to be poor, she loses her cool and tells him he couldn't last 2 weeks living her life. To her shock, Blake offers her a trade. She'll get his income, his house, his car. In exchange, he'll work her hours and send money home to her family. No expectations, no future obligations. But before long, they're trading not just lives, but secrets, kisses, and heated nights together. No expectations might break Tina's heart, but Blake's secret could ruin her life. That sounds amazing. I'm in. The next one's The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. I read the first book in this series. What was it called? I don't remember off the top of my head, but I liked it a lot. This one follows the male lead's friend who is Latino, and apparently this begins with Nicole Patterson at a Dodgers game. She gets proposed to by her boyfriend on national television, and our main dude here, Carlos Ibarra, saves her. So it's a diverse story, interracial couple. I am so here for it. And then lastly of the romance batch is Zoe Castille's Stripped. This is about a male stripper. And I don't know much more about it other than people who got ARGs were really enjoying it. So yeah, I don't need to know much more. We'll see how those go. All right, now for the rest of the batch. All right, these were picked up all kinds of different places. Some of them are used, some of them are new, and I'm just gonna go ahead and get started and see how many I can fit in this video. The first sitting right at top is The Dog Who Came for Christmas by Sue Pethick, author of Pet Friendly. Well, I've never read anything by this author. I picked it up because this dog, sort of, kind of, maybe a little bit, looks like one of my dogs. That's all I can say. And I was feeling moody and in need of, I guess, some comfort reading. So I picked that one up. My most recent purchase was this one, The Revolution of Marina M by Janet Fitch. And this one is set in the Russian Revolution, and that's really all I know. I did not realize how thick this was. I had suggested it for my book club, but I'm so glad that they did not pick this one because it is way too big. But anyway, next up, this one is a used copy of Fire in the Blood by Irene Nermirovsky. She wrote Suite Française, which is set in World War II France, and it looks like this one is also set in World War II France, but I hadn't heard anything about this book, but when I saw that it was written by her, I picked it up so I could take a look and see what, if it's any good. I also picked up Night Circus. Where did I buy this? This looks like a really nice copy, but I'm pretty sure I bought it at the used bookstore. Yeah, I did buy it at the used bookstore, but this is a really nice copy. Dang. I did good. Again, this is one of those books that I don't know much about. I know that people have said some really good things about it. I've also heard some not so great things about it, but I am willing to pick it up and see what it's all about. It looks like it's a fantasy book set in with a circus setting. So I have not read a lot of books like that, so we will see. I also picked up Vengeful by B.E. Schwab from Barnes & Noble. Why did I pick this one up? Because I bought the first one. I'm planning on reading it, and so I thought, well, I have a coupon. Might as well pick up the second one. Maybe. I also picked up The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. This one is a book my sister has been trying to get me to read for ages. She loved it, and then the movie came on HBO or one of those channels, and my boyfriend watched it. I only watched the very beginning, and then I kind of like drifted away, but he watched it and loved it. And it's so rare that like he insists that I must read a book, but he insists that I must read this book and watch the movie. So I picked up the book. This one's a used copy, but it's also in very good condition, by the way. All right, a few things that I picked up kind of more school related were the Odyssey, Homer's The Odyssey, but it's translated by Emily Wilson, and this is the first time that a female scholar has translated the Odyssey. So I haven't read the Odyssey in like forever, so I thought this would be a great time to pick it up and see if I can torture my students with it. Yep. They will be for sure reading the Iliad, which is the one that I'm most familiar with and feel more comfortable teaching, but maybe in the future I'm going to do the Odyssey. Speaking of which, I also picked up The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker. So this is a retelling of the Iliad, focusing on the female characters, so particularly Helen, it looks like. This is one of the things that I always point out I start off with, because you start off, the Iliad starts off with Achilles having this argument over authority with Agamemnon, but at the center of that argument is Helen. And it's like we get to hear so little of her voice in the Iliad that I am excited for a story that retells it from her point of view. So I am super excited to read this, and I'm already developing an assignment for my class kind of based around kind of retellings of the Iliad. So I'm super happy for that one. All right, let's see. I think I'd already talked about The Phantom of the Opera. Hadn't I not? If not, I have this book. One of my students is reading it for my Modern France class, and I really wanted to pick it up because it sounds good. I also picked up Jane Doe by Victoria Helen Stone. So this is another one of those books that the people I follow on Twitter were really into. All I know about it is that it's a kind of revenge fantasy, maybe about a battered woman. I'm not sure. Either way, it's a woman kind of taking revenge on men. Is that it? I'm not 100% sure, but it sounded really good. So I'm going to read it. I also picked up Soulless by Gail Carriger. I already read Soulless, and I picked up all the other books in the series at the used bookstore. The only one they didn't have and have not been able to find was Soulless. So when I went to the Ripped Bodice, they had it. So I just went ahead and picked it up because I like to have a complete set of the series. I really, really liked this. It's a paranormal kind of steampunk series. It's vampires, wolves, and parasols. And parasols are these people that can affect both vampires and werewolves. And there's a little bit of a romance story, and it's just, I really, really love this series, and I need to continue it. So I'm glad I now have the first book. I recently got my order of the Corset in here by Paula Purcell, and I don't know that much about this book. I think it is, let's see, Dorothea and Ruth, prison visitor and prisoner, powerful and powerless. Dorothea true love is young, wealthy, and beautiful. Ruth Butterham is young, poor, and awaiting trial for murder. When Dorothea's charitable work leads her to Oakgate prison, she is delighted to have the chance to explore her fascination with phrenology and test her hypothesis that the shape of a person's skull can cast a light on their darkest crimes. But when she meets teenage seamstress Ruth, she is faced with another theory, that it is possible to kill with a needle and thread. For Ruth attributes her crimes to a supernatural power inherited in her stitches. The story Ruth has to tell of her deadly creations of bitterness and betrayal, of death and dresses, will shake Dorothea's belief in rationality and the power of redemption. Can Ruth be trusted? Is she mad or a murderer? I'm really fascinated by that, so I'm looking forward to it. I also picked up the second book from, the first one's The Girl in 6E. This one's Do Not Disturb by A.R. Torre. And I loved The Girl in 6E. So I'm looking forward to continuing this series because I really need to be reading more series, don't I? I picked up Octavia Butler's Fledgling. This is the vampire story she wrote, and I loved Kindred. I read it ages ago, but I really, really enjoyed Kindred, and when I saw them at used bookstore had Fledgling, I picked it up, even though it's a really torn up copy, but that's all right. I also picked up The Perfect Nanny by Leila Slimani. This is a book that was originally published in French and it's now been translated into English. It's the story of a nanny that kills the kids she's watching. You start off with the murder and then you kind of go back in time and look at what's happened here. One of the students in my French class read this book and hated it. But the story sounded great, so I picked it up. What can I say? Next up, I picked up Trail of Lightning by, who's the author? Rebecca Roanhorse. And it's a post-apocalyptic story with a Native American main character. That sounded amazing. I love post-apocalyptic books, and this one's got sounds like great diversity wrap. So this one's actually at the top of my to-read list. Next up, I picked up Persepolis, the Complete Persepolis. I read part 1 over the summer, and so wanted to get the rest of it, so I just bought the complete book. It's a really great story, and super quick read as well. I also picked up Pride by Evie Soboy. I read American Street a few months ago and really enjoyed it, and this is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but set in Detroit, I believe. No, Brooklyn. It's set in Brooklyn, and I'm here for all the Pride and Prejudice retellings, all of them. And this one is a diverse one, own voices. So I'm so excited to read this. All right, Barnes & Noble was doing a huge sale where a lot of their books were like super heavily discounted. I forgot what exactly the sale was, but my Plain Jane. Knowing very little about it, I know that, let's see, best friends with a ghost. Jane has endured years of hardship and misery and is ready to embark on a new life as a governess at Thornton Hall. Oh, this is a Withering Hides retelling. I'm here for Withering Hides retellings too, so I'm good there. I picked up 2 of the J.K. Rowling writing as Robert Galbraith books. I got The Cuckoos Calling and The Silkworm. I got these on recommendation from one of the ladies in my book club. I really like these books, and I trust her taste in mysteries, so I thought I would start a new series, because again, I am clearly in need of starting a new series, aren't I? Next up, I picked up A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabot. It is a French book, and it was billed as a Harry Potter set in France. I don't know about all of that, but I'm here for a fantasy set in France. I am really getting back into books set in France and like French literature and all of that. So I'm really looking forward to reading this, and I think it'll be a perfect winter end of the year read. I also picked up Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. So this is a YA book, and I don't know that much about it other than it's about kind of diversity. Let's see, a girl living in New York City. And I've been looking for more books with kind of good diversity rep, and I thought I would give this one a try. Whew, all right, let's see. We can get through this, guys. We can get through it. I also picked up, at the suggestion of Books Like Woe, Mara from Books Like Woe, The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So this is a mystery, a YA mystery, and so I really like Mara's recommendations. I like the way she talks about books, and we have a lot of overlap in our taste, so I thought this would be something that I would like. This was a book that I was gifted by my boyfriend, The Paris Seamstress by Natasha Lester. So it's set in World War II France, and it looks like it's back and forth to today. I've been reading a lot of World War II books set in France. So this will be another one I can add to it and see what I think. These can be a little bit iffy for me because sometimes I'm a French historian, a historian of France. So sometimes I know too much of the history and it can ruin books. But it can also really enhance them. So, you know, we'll see where that one falls. I also picked up Lillian Jackson Brown's The Cat Who Had 60 Whiskers, which is a nostalgic comfort read for me because when I was a teenager, I devoured the Cat Who books. And this one, I believe, is the last in the series, at least so far. So, yeah, I wanted to pick up one I knew I hadn't read, and I think I haven't read that one because it was published, I believe, after I went through my obsession with it. Then I had picked up several books for the Women in Translation readathon that I didn't get to, but I absolutely want to get to. So the first one's The Dog Who Dared to Dream. And is this a Korean? This is either, I think this is a Korean, originally published in Korean and translated into English. It's going to be a sad book, but it's short, and I thought it would be good for like other readathons as well. I also picked up The Little Beast. This is set in 1944 in Quebec, and it's about, I think it's a girl who decides to grow a beard and the kind of havoc that wreaks in the neighborhood. So it sounds really interesting. The Kingdom of This World by Alejo Carpentier. This is set in French Haiti, and I think it's related to the Haitian Revolution, and it's also a translation. So I teach the Haitian Revolution, and I haven't read this book, so I thought I would read it. And then Eve Out of Her Ruins by Ananda Devi or Devi. And this is the story of a couple of women, and it looks like there is trauma. Yeah, one of them has gone through some trauma, or both of them have gone through trauma, and it's about the way that they deal with that trauma. I believe, yeah, this one's set in Mauritania. Sounds a little bit dark, but it's also short, and these kinds of books are great for readathons, and they're set in places not in the U.S., and it helps branch out to some of this reading, I believe. Whew, I think that's it. Is that it? I think that's it. I might have more. No, I think that's it. I'm capping it there. All the other books, if I hauled them and just didn't talk about them, oh well, you'll hear about them when I read them. So I have a lot of reading to do, guys. I will have some time now that my work is winding down. But these are a lot of books, but I'm excited. Not all, the amount of money I spent on these vary, but I'm excited to have all these books, and there were books that I was genuinely interested enough in them that I needed, that I felt I needed to own them. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.